Welcome to Conference Championship Week, where once again, Iowa State is turning to sports not named football to get our weekly dose of heartbreak. The last week for our beloved Cyclones had a few wins snuck in there, but unfortunately they got overshadowed by big losses. Take, for example, the Cyhawk wrestling duel, where I will say it, we got robbed. Cody Chittum and Anthony Echemendia had Jared Franick and Real Woods beat on uncalled last-second takedowns, and the refs seemed to be perfectly fine with Iowa's strategy of stalling for entire periods at a time. But I'll set that on the back burner for a minute because the biggest heartbreaker of the week was volleyball being eliminated in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Hawaii. After completely dominating the first set, the second, third, and fourth sets were like watching the season lie down on its deathbed and watching that meter until eventually it flatlined. Today is December 2nd, 2023. I'm Matt Menson, and welcome to the Cornfield Sports Pod. And of course, Blake is here as well.
I'm here.
He is back after the fall break episode where I was recording by myself, but we're back. We're rocking and rolling.
We're back and rocking.
So, Farmageddon was last week. We can at least talk about last week's football game, even though we got nothing to talk about for this week, at least as far as Iowa State goes.
Last week was probably one of the best football games that I've ever seen. Like the anxious feelings with the snow just made it that much more memorable. All the Fox Sports graphics too, like on TV, just made that for a very memorable Snowmageddon.
Yeah, no, Fox made it very clear to the Big 12 they want this rivalry protected. Looking at you, Brett Yormark, and you, Jamie Pollard. We need to protect Farmageddon, please. The people wanted it. It was among the most viewed games of any of them, any conference, any time slot. So give the people what they want.
Did this game have more viewers than Michigan and Ohio State? I
No,
can't remember.
it did not.
Okay.
No, Michigan, Ohio State, I think was the highest. It was one of the highest rated games in history.
Okay.
I think you have to go back to like 2006 or something like that to find a higher rated game.
No,
but
because I just found like a stat that was like, this Farmageddon was like the most watched like in Fox something I can't remember.
Yeah, no, the game between Michigan and Ohio State, that one they had like 19 million something viewers for that game.
Oh, yeah.
But that's because everybody watches that game. So. That Farmageddon game though, that was wild. Only 2 plays inside K-State's territory, and you crossed the 40-point mark on them. Like that's unheard of. Like Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma isn't doing stuff like that. For all the explosive plays that they put up, nothing even remotely close. Yeah. And I mean, when Kansas State's defense is just completely unable to stop Jalen Knoll or Jaden Higgins or Abu Sama. 276 rush yards. Hello.
Wow. And like that entire game is like we're like 1 second we're on our phones and then we look up. It's like oh.
It's like you look down for 1 minute, you look up again, touchdown, and you think a game like that when you see a score like that. You think the time of possession is going to be relatively even just because the score is relatively even? That's the way games typically go. No, Kansas State had the ball twice as much as we did. But that's when you get off the field so fast because you score so insanely fast. I mean, we had how many scores of 60-plus yards? Basically all of them.
Yeah. The way we played that game, we looked like we play in the snow like every week.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, that rush yard total for Sama, that was among the highest in Cyclone history, topped only by Troy Davis, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Ennis Haywood ever had a game with more rush yards than that, or Breece Hall did. I don't think either one of them ever hit that mark, or really even came all that close. It wouldn't shock me if Breece crossed the 200 line every now and then, but I did not have the time on hand to go back in the record books and look for all of that. But no, Sama was only topped by Troy Davis.
Yeah.
And then we also got to talk Rocco Becht,
Ooh, Rocco.
freshman of the year for the Big 12. And
so rightfully deserved.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, leading basically any freshman in any stat because he was cooking for the entire year, aside from that, Ohio game when he was sick. But, I mean, when the play calling was there, Rocco, rose to meet it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he did a lot when the play calling wasn't there too.
Yeah, and for Farmageddon, Fox Sports was comparing Rocco to Brock Purdy's freshman year, I believe.
Yes. I would be curious to see some of like the per game stats side by side because Brock Purdy didn't start playing until conference play that year because he was a third string up until Kyle Kemp was injured and Zeb Nolan got benched. So. And we got bowl season coming up. So where are you thinking that we're gonna end up heading?
Everyone's hoping the Pop-Tart Bowl, even though we've already been there. That's what everyone's hoping for. I might jump on that bandwagon. I really want something. I really want like a fun bowl to go to. It's like not something named like Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Liberty Bowl is where we're gonna end up in that kind of cruddy stadium that they have down in Memphis, and it might still be a cold game. It's not the nice tropical weather that you want to have when you take a winter vacation. No. So.
No, but all you had to say was Memphis. Then I'm like, no.
As long as we're not playing Memphis in Memphis, that was an atrocity. Oh, yeah. At least, thank God we won that game back when, but that was they should never give a team a home game like that. No. Unless it's UCLA in the Rose Bowl. That I would understand. But that's basically not a home game. Like their actual home games basically aren't home games. So because they don't have fans. No one shows up to their games. Like there's a reason they have the entire end zone seating of the Rose Bowl tarped off for a UCLA game. No one shows up to those. Such a beautiful stadium, and they got to tarp it off. Let's talk about volleyball for a little bit. They did reverse sweep Cincinnati.
Oh, that was a great reverse sweep. Very much needed, especially on senior night. Shout out Jordan, Alexis, Annie. Thank you for being a Cyclone.
Yeah, absolutely.
That day against Cincinnati, I honestly, personally wanted to invite everyone from Cincinnati into the kitchen of Matt Menson.
Skyline is an abomination. My chili's better, and if you had it, you would never eat Skyline again. If you put Skyline in a dumpster, the dumpster is ruined. Skyline's bad.
I can attest for Matt's.
Skyline is bad.
Exactly.
Don't ever eat it.
Yes.
It's an abomination. Anyone who makes Skyline, like whoever founded Skyline Chili, should be charged with a felony.
I can attest for Matt's in saying his chili is God tier.
It's the best. It's the best, bar none. I'll take any of you challengers any day. Let's go.
Also that was also the longest volleyball game that I've ever worked.
That volleyball game was long because review. No, but that one came down to the officials, having cataracts or something because it is basically a repeated process. There's a pattern to this. Step 1, team challenges. Step 2, team gets their challenge back because step 3, the call is reversed. Step 4, you wait like 3 points. And then step 5, rinse and repeat. Mm-hmm. Challenge again, get it right. Get your challenge back, wait a few points, challenge. We spent so much time in the first couple sets just reviewing calls. And they took so long to review some of the most basic calls too. And even the ones that they weren't reviewing, they had to stop and the refs felt the need to stop and explain everything to the coaches. And it's just like, our coaches understand how the sport of volleyball works, but considering you can't get a call right, maybe they should be explaining to you how volleyball works, because the coaches knew what was going on the court, and the refs did not. And that's what video review told us. So, yeah, no, that was crazy. We did get some more freshman accolades though.
Very good.
To add to Rocco's.
For volleyball, Nyla Gonzalez claimed her crown as Big 12 Rookie of the Year. I mean, about time. Was there really any question?
We've been saying for how many weeks now to just give it to her?
Yeah. So what? She clocked in at 4 Rookie of the Weeks, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty substantial number.
But she totaled out the regular season with 336 and 348 total kills on the season.
Yeah, and for comparison, in their respective freshman seasons, these are some other outside hitters we've had that are either are on the team now and had great freshman years, or are from the past and are just notable Cyclones. Eleanor Holthouse had 268 kills her freshman year. So that's not even in the same league as what Nayeli just did. Maya Duckworth did cross that 300-point mark. She had 311. So she was still well shy of what Nayeli did this year. And then the current record holder, barely, by only 5 kills, is Rachel Hockaday back in 2008. 353 kills that year. And had we advanced to the next round of the tournament, Nayeli would have broke this record.
Easily. Safe to say, if you're a volleyball player in the state of Iowa and you're not playing for Christie, what are you doing?
Yeah. Looking at you kind of sour. And then NCAA tournament, like I said, had we advanced, Nayeli would have got that record. She did get the points record. She does hold the points record. I don't have the numbers on that, but she got that one from Hockaday. But lost in the first round to Hawaii. That one was a heartbreaker.
Oh, absolute heartbreaker.
I mean, we came out in the first set and played so well.
Yeah, I thought we had that in the bag.
We absolutely steamrolled them in the first set. We hit close to 500 in the first set.
And pretty much all of our aces came from that first set.
Hawaii had a very early run in that first set where they went up, was it 7-2?
Yeah.
And then from there it was us. We went on, was like a 23-5 run or something to go through the end of that set. It was insane. Just absolutely dominant on that first set. And then after that, I don't know if we got, a little bit too relaxed or what happened, but I mean, to go from that to watching your season slowly fade away, and we just didn't have any answers for Hawaii in the second, third, fourth sets. So that was the end of that, and then now I have to look forward to the launch of the PVF this spring in order to get my volleyball fix. I think they said first games are going to be in January or something like that, end of January. I don't know. I'm hoping they sign some former Cyclones.
They better.
But as of right now, I'm not aware of any. So I don't know. If they sign Eleanor, I'll probably be among the earlier ones to notice. So
you're hoping she signs with Omaha, is that right?
Of course I'm hoping she signs with Omaha, because Omaha's the closest team.
Absolutely.
Men's basketball, poor showing at the ESPN Events Invitational. We didn't play well there. We talked about the VCU game last week, and then it only got worse from there.
No.
Because the same problems that plagued us during the VCU game, even though we were able to come back and win that one, they continued to plague us against Virginia Tech and Texas A&M. And, I mean, generally speaking, our defense was fine. We held Virginia Tech and Texas A&M to beatable numbers. That wasn't a problem. But our offense in those two games took major steps back. And I don't know if it was just because that weekend was the first time we really played any serious competition. But like we were extremely hesitant against the defenses. Like our offense spent so much time on that end of the floor, dwindling the shot clock down, and then putting up bad shots when, they had opportunities that they could have gotten to the bucket and just didn't. Like they were froze up. And I'm glad to see that didn't actually happen last night when we were playing DePaul. So,
yep. Speaking of DePaul, Big 12 Big East battle again. I'd also like to point out that we're very dominant in the Big East battle. Going back to like 2019, whenever we first started that.
Yep.
2019 versus Seton Hall, 2021 against Creighton, 2022 against St. John's, and now with DePaul. So.
And then there wasn't a Big East Big 12 battle in 2020, right?
Nope.
COVID?
Yeah, it was COVID. I don't know if it was for our team specifically, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the offense actually showed out for this game. 99 points against a Power 6 team. I mean, yes, DePaul is on the lower end of the Big East, but I mean, if you have a football game against Vanderbilt and you score 66 points, that's still impressive. So, I mean, that's 99 points against anybody looks good.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter who it is. It can be, that your college town's high school's freshman team. You put up 99 points, it's still going to look good. It's going to look good.
Yeah. Did we also outnumber their attendance?
It looked like it from the video.
Yeah, there was lots of red.
Yeah. Well, Cyclones are plentiful in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe don't hit that mic again.
Yeah.
And of course this week on Thursday, big time.
Ick.
It's a big time.
It is a big time. We need this one.
Yeah, we do.
We need this one. We need to take this one because we need a shot in this series.
You all know what game we're talking about. For that disgusting team out east.
That disgusting team out east. We need to have a shot in the series because they're currently ahead of us. I feel like they have more quality losses because they've played Creighton, they played Oklahoma. But I'd say to win this, our offense needs to be on point.
Imagine saying that they're decent because they have quality losses. That's like saying Mississippi State has good basketball because they play Kentucky. Like, no, that's not how that works. But yeah, we need to have the offense that showed up against DePaul and not the offense that showed up at the ESPN Events Invitational if we want to win this game. If the offense that showed up against DePaul is there, we win. There's no doubt about that. Because Iowa's men's basketball team is not that good. It's not. When they have been good in recent history, it's been, Garza or the Murray brothers. And, well, now they don't have Garza or the Murray brothers. They just don't have that generational talent that's going to carry the team, and that is that's what they built their identity around, and now they don't have that. And all the attention is on women's basketball in Iowa City anyway. Speaking of women's basketball, our ladies also did not do well here this last weekend. They were at the South Point shootout that was in Vegas, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Vegas.
Yeah. Loss versus Vanderbilt, loss versus Syracuse. And goodness, women's basketball, ESPN Plus exists now. Stop putting things on ridiculous networks that no one wants to buy.
I mean, Flow Sports. Really? Flow
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah. Now, our offense didn't show up in either one of these games, but no one really knew that because no one was actually able to watch the game because nobody has Flow Sports.
The highlights that I've seen from Flow Sports, of our games, probably amongst the worst stream quality that I've ever seen in a college game.
Flow Sports can do international wrestling right, and that's about it. Yeah, no, Flow Sports, just stop. Just don't.
ESPN Plus.
And South Point Shootout, sell your streaming rights to ESPN Plus next time so that people can actually watch it. Because that's the only place it's going to get media value, is if people are actually able to watch it. No one's paying $100-something for an annual Flow subscription so they can watch 2 basketball games. No one's doing that. Because no one actually is going to be using that for the rest of the year unless you watch a lot of international wrestling. That's the only reason to get a Flow Sports subscription. But it gets worse than Flow Sports.
We did win at St. Thomas.
Which was on the Summit League network.
Really? Really?
I didn't even know that was a thing that exists. I knew that Flow Sports existed. I also know that I wasn't going to pay an annual subscription when they didn't have a monthly thing for it. But really, Summit League network?
I mean, it is for their high school size conference.
I forgot that the Summit League itself existed. I didn't even realize that St. Thomas was a D1 school at first when we played them. I thought they were D2.
They were D1.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. The Summit League is a D1 conference.
Yeah.
So they have to be a D1 school.
Yeah.
But goodness, I thought they were a D2 school because Minnesota's full of those.
Yeah.
So, and that's where St. Thomas is. But yeah. Yeah, no, just get on ESPN Plus like any sane person.
But coming back to the St. Thomas win, yeah, we definitely needed this one to get back in the win column. Sunday's game against UNCW. Matt, what are we thinking on this?
Win.
Nothing more, nothing less.
I don't know a whole lot about UNCW. I just know that they're an acronym team with at least 4 letters.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's more than 3 letters, they're probably not going to be very good.
Oh, gosh.
That's usually the way that goes.
Yeah. But after that, on Wednesday, Team Out East.
Yep, Team Out East on Wednesday, day before the men play. We get to host that Team Out East. Yep, we will. We'll host the Team Out East for women's Cyhawk. We'll be hosting both of them, but that Wednesday, women's Cyhawk, Caitlin Clark's got to deal with this Iowa State crowd, and we show up.
Yep.
Is this one sold out? I haven't seen any.
Both of these games are sold out.
Okay. Well, I knew the men's side was going to be sold out.
Yeah.
Our men's basketball sells tickets easily anyway.
Easily. That's more than we can say for them.
Yeah, no, Iowa men's basketball undersells their women. Not granted, they have the Caitlin Clark effect, and they're selling out women's basketball, but yeah. So this will be Caitlin Clark's last time ever actually visiting Hilton. So gotta make sure she walks out with a nice L,
just like last time. And I've always imagined like one of our timeout promotions, like the Van Wall 5 and 35. I could just imagine like today's contestant is Caitlin Clark from West Des Moines.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever envisioned that, but
Easy 5.
Okay.
I know my mind is something else. So
right, because Caitlin Clark is gonna be shooting 3-pointers for a lawnmower. But they always pick a middle-aged dad for that, right?
Oh yeah, I know.
Anyway, though, realistically speaking, Iowa's got a really great, really experienced team this year on the women's side of the ball, and our team is basically all freshmen, and they play like it.
Yeah.
We can be great in a couple of years, but this team has got a lot of developing yet to do.
Yep.
Now, they got time to develop, but this probably isn't our year.
No, this one especially. Yep. If we win this one, it'll be a miracle.
Yeah. No, I mean, when we beat them 2 years ago, we were young. We had a lot of sophomores on the floor, but they at least had a year of experience with college ball. And our team this year just doesn't. And we still had Ashley Jones leading the way back then, too, which was a major help. Let's go to wrestling now. Cyhawk, as I previously mentioned, was an officiating nightmare. I'm just going to outright say it. The duel was stolen. Yeah, it's stolen. Highway robbery. But other than the controversial officiating, which I talked about in the opening monologue, we should have been responding better to those match results. And then, yeah, on many occasions, many occasions, the Hawks stalled away, and the refs never called it. You can't do that. You have to engage your opponent. You can't just flee action, and that's what Iowa's strategy was for second and third periods, is get one takedown early on, and if you get a lead, stall away. That's all they did. And it was honestly quite boring. I'm like it's boring to watch a bunch of stalling. It's boring. I get Iowa fans buy wrestling tickets because Iowa, they're good wrestlers. Like, they can get takedowns, but strategically, come on. Like if refs actually called stalling against them, they wouldn't be doing as well as they are. But they don't. So here we are. Yeah. And that takes the score of the Cyhawk series outside of Iowa State's hands.
Yes. So in my vision, we need to take men's basketball and swimming and diving before the end of this year. That's how we stay ahead in this series.
Right. Yeah. Well, if we get those two, they're almost certainly going to take women's basketball. That's why I've come to terms with that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention that.
Right. So if we win men's basketball and swimming, they win women's basketball. That takes the series to a tie, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
There can't be a tie anymore.
We still have softball.
No, there can't be a tie.
We still have softball. We haven't accounted for that.
I know there's softball, but we can't tie the series because football's already played and they took football. So
they're only up 1 right now.
Yeah, football's worth 3 points right now.
Right. But the score is 7-6.
Yes.
So disregard what's already happened. The score is 7-6. We don't need to worry about how we got there. We just know that's what it is. It's the math.
Yes.
So football is worth 3. Everything else is worth 1, correct?
2.
2.
Yes.
Everything else is worth 2?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah, it can't be tied then because it's all even numbers. Yeah. So we would have to win one more thing we would have to win 2 more things in Iowa from here out. Because if they win women's basketball, then they're up 9-6. So, or no. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We have to win at least 2 things.
To at least stay ahead, going
into the spring.
Yeah.
And even then, I think we still need to win softball.
Yeah.
So we actually need to win 3 in order to win the series.
Yep. We need 13 to win.
Right. 13 is the threshold.
Yes.
So that would mean we have to we win 3 different things. That would only get us 12 points total because we're at 6.
Yeah. So we'll need 1 more.
Right. So if we win men's basketball, swimming and diving, and softball,
throw tennis in there, and I think track and field has stuff.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Which we easily outrun Iowa in our running sports.
Right, and softball is no guarantee that we win that one either.
Yeah, softball's not a guarantee.
I mean, Coach Pinkerton's just had their number lately, but we'll get into that a little bit more later on down the line. ESPN actually covered the Cyhawk wrestling duel.
Yeah, lots of camera angles and lots of viewership. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Nielsen ratings for it. I want to, but this is probably the most watched wrestling duel of all time because it's the only collegiate regular season duel that's ever been broadcast on ESPN. It was the first. That was groundbreaking. So I'm really excited to see what the numbers were for that, just how many people it brought in, and being such a high profile duel with it being 2 top 10 teams. It's a good direction for the sport of wrestling. Whereas, lately, at least on cable networks, the only place, you've been able to watch wrestling is Big Ten Network. And that's where a lot of the power wrestling programs are, because you've got Ohio State there, you got Penn State, you got Michigan, you got Wisconsin, and you've got Iowa. And those are all very good programs. And, of course, Minnesota was also there as well when you had Gable Steveson, running roughshod through the heavyweight classes. He was a very, very good wrestler.
Sports like this and volleyball, so far this year, we've not had much luck on the main ESPN network.
Yeah, no, we have not. But streak can't last forever, right?
But again, sold out Hilton Coliseum. So, very, very big. Right now, wrestling is currently at Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational. That is also where David Carr just got his 100th career win.
Nice. I hadn't seen that. But that concludes most of our Cyclone sports here. Blake? High-speed wins. Really not much again. Cyclone Swimmy is currently at the Hawkeye Invite, not to be confused with Cyhawk. So far they've gotten like third place the last 2 days with Iowa, Nebraska ahead of him. So that kind of has me questioning how they're going to do against Iowa come Friday. So. I don't know. I don't understand how scoring works for swimming, so I can't really say. With there being other teams there affecting the scoring, because it's like, how like with a wrestling tournament having other teams there, it changes the way everything stacks up.
Yeah.
That's why the final team rankings after the NCAA tournament are always not even remotely close in order to the dual team rankings, because it's the different formatting shakes it up.
Yeah.
Let's go to pro sports. And as usual, we'll start with the NFL. Blake, Minnesota Vikings lost for Chicago.
Respectfully, what was that last play? It looked like a bunch of drunkies playing backyard football, at least trying to.
You talking about Minnesota Chicago or Auburn Alabama?
Auburn Alabama. No, Viking against the Bears.
Yeah, no. I mean the Auburn Alabama play, that was a bad one too, but story for another time.
I know. But Joe Buck and Troy Aikman with the legendary call at the end. I think Joe said, and with the Benny Hill music playing in the background, this game is over, thankfully.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. And then the Vikings, they're finally going into their bye week here, and then after that they will play the Las Vegas Raiders. Chicago Bears also entering bye week. They will be playing the Lions after that. Green Bay Packers. They had Thursday Night Football last week, and we covered that on last week's show. This week, they're going to be playing Kansas City.
Yeah, Packers will be coming into this game. They're still going to be hunting for their final wild card spots for the NFC.
Right, and it's still a pretty open game right now with there being, what are we on, week 13? 4 weeks left in the season?
Yeah.
5 weeks left in the season? Yeah, there's 18 weeks, 17 games, 18 weeks. 5 weeks left in the season. And then Kansas City, they just came off a bounce-back win to the Raiders. And if I recall correctly on the show, I said that they were going to win by 14. I nailed that.
You nailed that.
I'm good. I know ball. I know my Chiefs.
Matt knows ball.
They beat the Raiders 31-17. They won by 14. And they got momentum back. They're going to Green Bay with some momentum. Both teams actually have momentum to some extent going into this game.
Yep. Chiefs are coming for the hunt for the top seed.
Yes. They're playing this game in the frozen tundra, though. I'm not being a Chiefs fan. I don't like that for Kansas City. It's hard to play in the frozen tundra no matter who you are. So that's going to be an interesting storyline tomorrow. NBA. The Minnesota Timberwolves here in this last week. Losses versus the Kings and then wins at the Grizzlies and home versus the Thunder. These were both the loss versus the Kings and the win versus the Thunder were for in-season tournament group play, which they did not qualify for the semifinals because they missed not the semifinals, conference semifinals, but the quarterfinals. They missed the in-season tournament by a tiebreaker to the Phoenix Suns. And because that fourth spot, because it's 3 groups and then the fourth spot's a wild card, they determined that by point differential among the teams that are tied in the standings for it. So that's how that shook out. And then upcoming here, they'll have games at the Hornets and then home versus the Spurs in this next week.
Milwaukee Bucks. They got wins against Wizards, Trailblazers, Heat, Bulls.
Yep.
So right now they are qualified for in-season tournament quarterfinals, and then upcoming they'll go up against the Hawks and versus the Knicks in the in-season tournament quarterfinal.
Yep.
So,
and then my Chicago Bulls.
Man,
I love you, but good Lord, you're hard to watch. Yeah, loss at the Raptors, which eliminated them from making to the it officially eliminated them from making it to the knockout stage. They weren't going to make it anyway, but that just iced it. They also lost to the Nets. They lost to the Celtics in what was another group play game that was totally meaningless for Chicago because they were already eliminated from the in-season tournament. They were essentially just playing spoiler for the Celtics, who actually probably would have made it anyway by tiebreaker. But, I mean, unless Chicago has some kind of a major turnaround here, trades, free agent, something, picking someone up off the waiver wire, the O'Brien Trophy is not within reach either. They're not even going to come remotely close. And then, yeah, they also had that loss to the Bucks. And then, yeah, upcoming here in the next week, they'll be playing the Pelicans and the Hornets. Hockey. Minnesota Wild in the last week. Their 7-game skid did come to an end. They had 2 losses at the Avalanche and at the Red Wings as part of that 7-game skid before they finally fired Coach Dean Evason, who was, they had been on a 7-game losing streak, and allegedly there were some new strategies that Evason wanted to try.
But would they have worked?
Yeah, that's the question. We guess we won't find out now. City's got no ill feelings toward the team. Now, he had a 147, 77, and 27 career record with Minnesota over the course of, I believe was it 4 years? But that's, yeah. It's a little bit crazy to fire a coach this early in the season when his career record is that strong.
Yeah.
So.
And like, I like to see that from coaches leaving, just like saying no ill feelings. It's like, hey, I hope everything's well, and like
3 seasons.
Yeah, I'm just glad to be a part of this. I like seeing that.
Yeah. And then, but right after that, they had a win versus the Blues with their first game under Coach John Hines. They won that game 3-1, ended the skid. And then they also had a game at the Preds the other night. I don't have the result for that one up here. You want to find that one for me, Vinny? And then they have games upcoming here at the Blackhawks, Flames, and Canucks. Got a result here? 6-1 Minnesota. Okay, so they got a 2-game win streak now. New coach, new streak. I guess that's how that works now.
Is the Wild coming back?
Maybe we'll find out. And then the Chicago Blackhawks. You're the Chicago Bulls of hockey. Well, actually, I take that back. You won in the last week, and the Bulls didn't. Wins at home versus the Leafs and the Kraken. Loss versus the Blues. And then, again, I don't have a game result right now for the Red Wings. What's that? 5-1 Red Wings? Okay. So, yeah, they had they split the week here. The Blackhawks did. But what dominated the headlines for the Blackhawks was Corey Perry being placed on waivers.
What is the Corey Perry problem?
Well, it was revealed that he was having there was some behavioral problems that he was having with the team. There was some rumors that floated around too that I'm not gonna actually record, but because they were disproven, and it's probably better to let the rumors die. But it was said that his behavior was unacceptable and violated the team efforts to promote a safe and professional work environment. Substance abuse was a part of the problem. He didn't even make it 3 months with Chicago. So, and he's been in the league for a long time too. His career is probably over. He was there. He's been in the league almost 20 years now because he was drafted in 2004. And he was there. He was in Anaheim for a really, really long time. And he was part of their lone Stanley Cup team in 2007. But yeah, this is probably it for Corey Perry. And then upcoming here in the next week for the Blackhawks, we got the Jets, the Wild, the Preds, and the Ducks. My beloved Ducks, who are probably going to find a way to blow this game because even after they had that above 500 time for a little while, and then they lost like 6 games in a row. So,
St. Louis Blues had wins against the Blackhawks and the Sabres, losses to the Preds and the Wild. Upcoming games against Coyotes and one at the Golden Knights and one at home versus the Golden Knights. Matt, anything else?
Honestly, it wasn't really that eventful of a week for the Blues. Yeah. You played your games, but they didn't really have anything else in the headlines, nothing that stood out too much from that, at least as far as things that had an NHL-wide impact. So there wasn't a whole lot to dig into there. We got some more offseason activity for Major League Baseball. The Twins, they were unable to re-sign Sonny Gray. I don't think this really surprised anyone because of the price he was going to command. The Twins didn't have the money to pay him what the market was going to end up paying him, and the St. Louis Cardinals did. So that's where Sonny Gray is going, is St. Louis. And then Kenta Maeda also got dealt to the Tigers. So the Twins have some rebuilding to do on their rotation. Pablo Lopez is still going to be the centerpiece. He's still going to be the ace with that lethal sweeper of his. But the Twins have got some rebuilding to do, and they're going to have to hope on the hitting side as well that their players stay healthier than they did this year. Eddie Julian is probably going to be in the lineup more of the year than not this time around. But Byron Buxton being healthy would be really helpful. Royce Lewis in particular. Royce Lewis needs to be healthy for Minnesota to win the division next year. We also got free agent signing for the Kansas City Royals. He signed utility player Garrett Hampson. It's $2 million 1-year contract. His strength is his versatility and speed. He's he can play anywhere because he's quick, and he's got a fairly good hand. But he plays infield or outfield. But his claim to fame is his base stealing threat. Over his career, he's 57 470. And then, as I had previously mentioned, the St. Louis Cardinals acquired Sonny Gray from free agency on a 3-year, $75 million deal. There's a $30 million team option for 2027 when the 3 years expires. And then he joins fellow signees Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn on the St. Louis rotation. They're trying to build that back up. But yeah, follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter. We got our Twitter launched earlier this week. It's at CSportsPod. And then, of course, find Blake.
At Blake Tech 1846.
You can find me at the Menson Minute. Tap that follow button on Spotify, that plus button on Apple. We're looking to be launching on YouTube and Rumble here in the next week on video.
So subscribe to the channel. I'm Blake Peterson.
I'm Matt Menson. Our producer is Vinny Cataldo, and this has been the Cornfield Sports Pod.